All right, so we'll go in order. Okay. Let's talk about number one. So it says, according to Gatto, children should develop an inner life so that they'll never be bored. But what does developing an inner life mean, and how can we develop it? Does anyone have something they'd like to share about this?
I guess being creative, other than just reading the text or the material that is given to you by your teachers.
Okay.
I feel like it should also be like the family around you, like they should push you forward to be like more adventurous, like never have that, that boredness,
So choosing, helping you develop what you have an interest in, right? As opposed to the school deciding what you should be learning. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
I think that they should develop an inner life also means that their values, their principles, even though they're students, they're still human, so they have their own values and principles. So in terms of that means kind of what Diana said, going back to family, but with those people around with the student. So yeah, I guess that's my thoughts of it.
I like that you say that about values and principles, because when students are attending school, you don't know what values. There goes my doggie. I'm gonna go grab her. You don't know what values and principles that they're going to be taught, right? Exactly. So it's based on what the school thinks or the state thinks are important. Was somebody else going to say something? I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. All right, so let's take a look at what are Gatto's arguments against. And do you agree with him? Why or why not? So that's kind of two questions there.
Yeah.
Can somebody just maybe start off with sharing one of the arguments, and then whether you agree with that one or not?
I guess one of the arguments that he makes is that teachers are somewhat scared to teach outside of the boundaries of their curriculum. And I guess I do agree with that, because going through school, usually a teacher will always go through his or her course or the things that they tell you to teach, and they never, or a lot of the time they don't add on, or they don't bring new things to the table, which when you're a student, if that particular subject is not presented in an interesting way, you're not really going to pay attention to it.
Right. You're interested in something when you're interested in it, right?
Yes.
And so you never know when that's going to happen.
Right.
There's a story. When my younger daughter was, I don't know, she was maybe 13 or 14 months old. She was very interested in going on the potty. And I decided I was just going to wait until 18 months for some dumb reason. And I say dumb because when she was 18 months old, she wasn't interested anymore. And I should have mastered the interest when she was ready at 13 months. So I think that a lot of times you learn how to capture the interest and run with it when it's itself. Does somebody else have another argument that Gatto shares? And there's only a few of you here, so you can, don't worry about jumping on anybody's toes. Go ahead and share.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit.
So what I think is, mixed about like, do we really need school? I feel like I do agree with him.
Oh,
To
can you
like,
wait, state that part again? You said, start again about whether we need school or not. Go ahead.
yes. So I kind of agree with him in the way that we are forced to sit in classes like 6 days out of the week, and then 8 hours. And there's a lot of people that don't need that. They don't need school. They're good without it. But then again, we still have those people on the side that still need that push, you know, like they still need to sit down and learn. So I kind of agree with him in the sense where like we don't need to be forced like 6 days out of the week, maybe some days, but not the whole week. You get me?
Not for a whole big chunk of time.
Yes.
Right. Okay. What else?
Point out, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little low, but I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know why it's so low. Something he points out is that the structure of schooling doesn't values the wrong things, in that it puts an emphasis on authority rather than creativity, and there's certain aspects of education that the school system just misses altogether.
Right. I know it, it's interesting because I come from a family of teachers, and I ended up deciding to homeschool my children. And one child went all the way to college, and then one child I started in school just last year. I'm going to put my puppy away. But my 12-year-old I put into school district for the first time, and I worry that even though she's doing very well and is actually enjoying it, I hope that the things that she was able to develop before, that she'll still be able to carry on with them. But it is difficult if you are a working parent, and if you want to homeschool your children, who are you going to have help you, right? Anything else? Anything else you guys noticed? Any other lessons?
I found it really interesting that he said that genius is as common as dirt. I think it kind of goes back to what I said before, in that there are certain aspects of education and certain aspects of the genius in people that is completely missed over. One way to see this is the way education and schooling translates into the private sector, the real world, and it doesn't always translate very well. Certain things that can lead people to be very successful isn't valued in the school system. And I think that's why you see a lot of people who don't finish high school or don't finish college, yet are still very successful.
Right, right. I agree with that. And I'm glad you brought up that quotation. I actually just looked up some John Taylor Gatto quotations that may be or not in the text that you're reading. But the idea that genius is as common as dirt, we suppress genius because we haven't yet figured out how to manage a population of educated men and women. The solution, I think, is simple and glorious. Let them manage themselves. And so that goes back to, what does it mean to be educated, right? What does it mean to allow people to be completely different and run with their own individual interests? I'm really glad you brought that up, Fernando. I am going to move on to question number 3. Is there anything that you think should be added to help for Gatto to argue his point better?
Maybe some testimony from the private sector. There's a lot of stuff, especially from CEOs and other leaders in different industries, who talk about people coming out of school and not really being prepared for what they need to do. they lack basic problem-solving skills. And I think it puts an emphasis. So maybe if you use some examples from from the private sector, from the industries.
Fantastic. Anything else? Did anyone come up with any other ideas? And it's okay if you don't. I'm just giving you guys time to a moment to think.
I think adding life experiences. Like for example, he stated the lives of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and Abraham Lincoln. I think they turned out good leaders and successful people because of their life experiences. So I guess that's one of the claims that he may add to point out.
All right. I will point out that those three gentlemen were white men during a time, they were privileged white men during a time where there wasn't public education available. But that is very true. If you were given, in terms of, you were given anybody an opportunity to just learn, you teach them, some of the basics and then let them study their own things. I mean, especially today with technology. That's what I think is so great about online classes. If students are able to manage their own time, then why not do it online, right? It's an alternative to doing everything at the same time all the time. All right, so number 4, we talk about, I talked about homeschooling. Is there another alternative besides that you can think of?
Online classes?
Online classes?
Yeah.
What about getting to choose classes, right? Where you can choose the classes that you think you need, or apprenticeships. I think it's almost like we need to figure out a way to deal with society where parents work so that children can do what it is they need to do. Maybe it is, alternative times to work, so that some parents can be home, they could trade off. I'm going to go down to number 6. Do you think the public school system can change those issues?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, Fernando.
A big part of it is first just recognizing them. So I think a lot of people recognize that public schools don't enough prepare people for the real world. But I don't think enough people realize the ways that, and which Gatto really points out, is the ways that the public schools work against people. And I think that's one of the things that we need to focus on the most, or what ways it hurts students, and then from there, expand on how we can educate people.
Okay. All right. I want to point out, I'm going to share this Google page with everybody. It has the questions. I found a video online, and then I found a few quotations that aren't necessarily from the text we read. Some of them are, but I just wanted to read them out loud to you, to think about it. Whatever an education is, it should make you a unique individual, not a conformist. It should furnish you with an original spirit with which to tackle the big challenges. It should allow you to find values which will be your roadmap through life. It should make you a spiritually rich person who loves whatever you are doing, wherever you are, whomever you are with. It should teach you what is important, how to live, how to die. And I leave that with you for a moment because, you know, I taught high school for 8 years, and then I started teaching community college part-time and raising my own children. And for me, the thing that I think is important is not to make school boring, is to give students as many choices as they can within the construct that we have to give them, because I don't want students to become the conformists, right? I want students to be able to develop their own ideas that may not be the same as mine, right? And I would hope that we, you know, can continue that spirit. This is one of my favorites, although it is very difficult because I have to give grades at the end of the day. Grades don't measure anything other than your relevant obedience to your manager. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Just because you don't get a good grade doesn't mean that you understood the lecture or that you're able to apply it in real life. Just like some people, they know the material, but they're horrible test takers like I am. They put a test in front of me and I freak out. And, you know, even though I know the material, it's hard for me to, you know, pass the test sometimes. So
Right.
I would agree with that statement.
Right. I have in one of my other classes, I do a grading contract where if students do the work, then they automatically get a B. In my online classes, I think that it works out to be similar to that because I care more about you taking risks than writing boring yet perfect papers.
Yeah.
I want you to take a risk. That would be better for me as a teacher in terms of reading. That way we can work with something honest, and maybe you could use it someday as opposed to not. Here's another quotation. The primary goal of real education is not to deliver facts, but to guide students to the truths that will allow them to take responsibility for their lives. Does anyone want to share anything about that?
The biggest thing that school needs to work on is teaching people how to learn rather than memorize facts. I think that's something that most people realize. And being good at learning is being good at asking questions. And kind of goes back to the problem of school system, where asking questions isn't, it's at odds with being a conformist. Conformists don't ask questions. They do what they're told.
Does anyone else want to add anything? All right. Would anyone else like to share anything about the Gatto text that we didn't talk about, that you think is important? That you're like, I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Is there anything?
No.
It's okay if the answer is no. I just want to throw it out there. Okay. I am then going to take you to our class. I think this one is ours. Yes. And I want to go to our modules and take a moment to talk about the writing project that is due this Sunday night. And I want to share with you that some teachers, when they say Sunday night, that if it's not turned in at exactly 11:59, it's late. I'm okay if it's at 2 a.m. on Monday morning. That doesn't bother me. I just don't want it to be you know, if you're getting to 7 a.m., it's a little late there. And that I would recommend you use a late pass. But I wanted to talk about here. I wanted to go back to the roadmap and talk to you about what you're going to write about. And this particular essay, when we're talking about grades, as long as you follow the parameters, you're going to get full credit, because this particular paper is about you really going through the process. I like to see what you guys write before I give you some suggestions about how to organize things differently. I want to see what it is you do. And to me, that's the most important. As we move forward with our other writing projects, I will be giving you some ideas about ways of thinking about organizing your work, how to integrate quotations and evidence, how to think about your audience a little bit more deeply. But this first paper, it's a bit of a short one, and the key question is really where I want your attention to go to. And it always is how does schooling affect one's education? That's it. And it says Jonathan Taylor Gatto in his essay against school suggests several problems with the present educational system. In a multi-paragraph essay, summarize his main claims and discuss whether or not you have been a victim of these negative lessons since you've had so much experience being a student. So your goal during this is you're going to introduce his text and talk about the problems. You can decide to talk about all 6, or you can choose just a few. And then you're going to give some personal examples about whether or not you think he's correct or not. Now, the one thing that I am asking you to do is that if you are sharing your own story, that's what an anecdote is, a personal anecdotal example is you using your own life. You can use the pronouns I and me. But other than that, I'd like to ask you to try to stick to the third person, okay? And so do your best, and we'll see what happens, and I can make some suggestions about, about that. But I want you to take a look further at the problem, audience, and purpose here. So a couple of 100 years ago, formal schooling was mostly reserved for the aristocracy or the clergy. The hard-won fight for the funding and the right for public education is actually relatively new. In 1821, Boston began the first public high school, and even then, not everyone had the right to attend. Yet the initial model created other problems for students, that is, major obstacles that have stalled or even prevented learning. Let me ask you a question. I want you to say yes if this is you. Has anyone ever been in a class and have been bored? Tell me yes or no. Yes. I have.
Yes.
Yes, right? Have you ever sat in the, I learned how to tell time really well. Looking at the clock in the classroom.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So do you think that they created school that that teachers are terrible people who want you to be bored?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
No? I mean, right, no. But, when I was teaching my own daughter and I noticed that she was interested in something, I could take her to a field trip to it, or I could find some extra books on it. Like, my younger daughter was very interested in geography. And so one of the things that we did was we took her she wanted to go to Bar Harbor, Maine. And so we took her there. Now, it was several years after she showed interest in it, but we took her there and she was able to see. But I also got her other books on geography and kind of fed her interest in it. And teachers can't do that for everybody, right? So educators and legislators are really trying to always improve the system. But your project should let us know if Gatto is correct, that there are still several problems, or if you think they've been corrected, because maybe they have. There might be examples in which they have. There might be schools that are designed better to meet students. Okay. So the audience for your paper are your peers and your teachers. And I don't mean just me as your teacher, I mean your teachers. So your goal for your peers is to help them figure out, help them become aware if there are problems so that they could persevere despite them. And your teachers, because, you know, we want to become better, right? So I know that I'm going to be the one seeing the paper, but I will tell you that a lot of times there are papers that are so good that I ask students if I could share them, and I do share them with other, you know, the other part of the audience, okay? So when you're thinking about audience, is thinking about the needs, attitudes, and knowledge. And so when I asked you, do you think teachers try to make you bored? I mean, I think you recognize that most teachers really probably don't try to make you bored. You know, they went into teaching with fire. And then finally, as we're looking at the purpose, is our audience is vested in education. In fact, all of you are here for some purpose. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you all tell me why you're here? Why are you at Cerritos College? Just one by one. I don't care the order you go. Why are you here at Cerritos?
I am just completing, I would like to complete some of the classes so that I could transfer and hopefully get a bachelor's degree as a personal goal at this particular time.
And why is that valuable?
It's important to me. It's something that I always wanted to do, and to prove to myself that I could do it, and to prove to both of my boys that if you work hard, you can obtain an education.
All right. Next.
The reason I'm here is because I didn't have money to go into a university. My dad couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it. So I'm here and I'm working my way up to finishing my GEs and transferring soon. I'm majoring in nursing and minoring in dancing.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
You know, I'd like to share something with you. I am a community college graduate, and so is my father and my sister. And in our family, we believe that a good community college, the first 2 years are better than the first 2 years at a university, because you are with teachers who really want to teach you, and you have smaller class size and that sort of thing. So I hope that you end up feeling like your time at Cerritos has been valuable.
It actually has.
So, but I understand the need to, you know, the desire to transfer. Okay, so who else? What else? Who else is ready to go? Why are you here?
For me, I'm trying to complete my second degree, and English 101 is one of the requirements. So, for me, English 101 would help me like continue on, because this is like part of my GEs, and then after I'm finished with this, I'm just gonna focus on my majors. So I guess that's one of my goals, is to go to the end and then finish, graduate, and then.
What is your major?
I'm majoring in anthropology.
Fantastic. All
But
right.
I'm trying to do a double major of anthropology and criminal justice.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I think we have one or two more people to hear from.
I'm pursuing a major in computer science. I've been working full time as a cabinet maker for 3 years.
Wow.
And I just want something. I want more. I want something a little more special, something that I enjoy more than just breaking my back in a shop. I mean, I love doing that. I love my job, but I just want more, basically.
All right. Joel, or Joelle? What about you? I don't know. Okay, we'll move on. All right, so this is, again, this is your key question, and this is what you're going to be writing on. And the length of it is 750 words. So if we look back at the project, right, we're asked to go back and reread the key questions, problem, audience, and purpose. The essay length is 750 words. That's approximately 3 pages. It's worth 10% of your grade. And as long as you follow the parameters that were noted on this page, you're going to receive full credit. Your experiences, as well as your inquiry into Gatto's text, or the preparation you need to compose it. I do recommend that you write a first draft or a couple of drafts and let it sit for a while, and then go back to revise and edit, and have others read it and see if it makes sense, as well as point out items to edit. We will be doing this part in our future essays, within our class, but I'm just suggesting that you do that. I think a lot of times having somebody else look at your paper, making sure you write it ahead of time and then leave it for a little bit and then go back and reread it. Those are the things that make the difference between an okay grade and an excellent grade. And I don't mean grade as in, yeah, you got an A but I mean like a really good paper that you're really, really proud of. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about the writing project? Alrighty then. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Or are we set?
I have a question.
Yes.
So in the first meeting, I wasn't able to attend. Do I still have to make the 300-word essay?
No, you just have to attend. That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
There are always going to be 2 Zoom meetings within a particular writing project, and you just have to make one of them. Now, I do recommend you watch the other video.
Okay.
But yeah, you only have to attend one. And that's all you have to do. And I wrote down a list. I have the list on my note on my phone. And so all you have to turn in is I attended the January 30th meeting. And you get credit for it.
Okay.
So that's all. Anybody else have any questions?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? It was breaking up. I didn't hear you. I didn't attend as well.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. All you had to do is attend 1 out of the 2 meetings, which you have. So all you have to do is upload the date that you attended. I wrote down a list of names, and that's it. That's all. You're set. So the 300 words are just for people who didn't attend at all. And so you'll always have an opportunity. This was our first one. You have to attend 4 more times to avoid writing the summary, because there's 5 projects total. Yeah. And you're always welcome to attend both meetings, not just the one. And you know, if there are things that you want to talk about that are not on the agenda, I am always flexible to changing the agenda or adding things, because I think it's really important. All right. Okay. If nobody has any other questions, we will call it a day. And I am so glad that you guys were here, and thank you for participating. And if you have any questions, email me. But I think it's all here. It's all clear, right? And your project number 2 is going to look similar. It will have the same structure. So now that you have this structure, it'll be the same for every single one. All right.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stop sharing. Take care. Bye.